A rocky start. Zira's antennae twitched nervously as she stepped off the hover tram into the bustling streets of New Denver. The towering spires of Earth Tech Industries loomed ahead, a gleaming monument to humanity's rapid ascent in the galactic community. As a young Blizzarian fresh out of the Intergalactic Academy, Zira had dreamed of this moment, her first day as an intern at one of the most prestigious human-run corporations in the known universe. She straightened her suit, custom-tailored to accommodate her iridescent exoskeleton, and took a deep breath of the crisp mountain air. Earth's atmosphere was thinner than she was used to, but the Lissarian was determined to adapt. After all, wasn't that what this internship was all about? Cultural exchange, mutual understanding, and pushing the boundaries of interspecies cooperation. As Zira approached the main entrance, she couldn't help but notice the stares from passing humans. Some were curious, others wary, and a few openly hostile. She'd been warned about this during her orientation, but experiencing it firsthand was jarring. Lissarians were a relatively new species to join the Galactic Alliance, and many humans were still adjusting to their presence. The lobby of Earth Tech was a hive of activity. Holographic displays flickered with stock prices and news feeds, while a diverse array of beings, mostly human, but with a smattering of other alien races, hurried about their day. Zira approached the reception desk, where a bored-looking human woman sat. "Excuse me," Zira chirped, her translator module kicking in to convert her native clicks and whistles into English. "I'm Zira, the new intern from Lissaria. I'm supposed to report to the R&D department." The receptionist barely glanced up. 15th floor. Follow the blue line." Zira nodded, though the curt response left her feeling even more out of place. She made her way to the gravity lifts, joining a group of humans who instinctively shifted away from her. The ride up was tense and silent. The R&D department was a sprawling maze of laboratories and offices. Zira wandered the halls, searching for her assigned workspace. She passed by rooms filled with strange machinery and holographic projections of molecules and star systems. In one lab, she glimpsed a group of scientists huddled around what appeared to be a miniature black hole contained in a shimmering force field. "Hey, bug girl," a voice called out. Zira turned to see a young human man approaching, a smirk on his face. "You lost or something?" "I'm looking for Lab 7B," Zira replied, trying to keep her voice steady. "I'm the new intern." The man's eyebrows shot up. "They're letting your kind work here now. What did they run out of real scientists?" Zira's antennae drooped, but before she could respond, another voice cut through the air like a whip crack. "Daniels, don't you have work to do?" The newcomer was an older human male, his salt and pepper hair cropped short, and his face set in a stern expression. The young man, Daniels, paled visibly. "Yes, Mr. Reeves." "Sorry, sir." He scurried off without another word. The older man turned to Zira, his piercing blue eyes scanning her from head to toe. "You must be the Lissarian intern. I'm Jason Reeves, head of the R&D department." Zira straightened up, feeling both relieved and intimidated. "Yes, sir. I'm Zira. It's an honor to be here." Jason nodded curtly. "Follow me. I'll show you to your station." As they walked, Zira couldn't help but notice the respect, tinged with fear, that Jason commanded from the other employees. Humans and aliens alike stepped aside as he passed, offering quick nods or murmured greetings. "You'll be working on Project Nexus," Jason explained as they entered a large open laboratory. "It's a joint initiative between Earth and Lissaria, aimed at developing new forms of faster-than-light communication." Zira's antennae perked up with excitement. "That's fascinating. I specialized in quantum entanglement theory at the Academy." For a moment, Zira thought she saw a flicker of approval in Jason's stern expression, but it vanished so quickly she might have imagined it. "Good," he said. "You'll need that knowledge. Your station is over there. Dr. Chen will brief you on your specific tasks." As Jason turned to leave, Zira felt compelled to speak up. Mr. Reeves, thank you for your help earlier. With that other employee, I mean." Jason paused, looking back at her with an unreadable expression. "Don't thank me yet, Zira. This internship won't be easy. You'll face challenges here that go beyond mere scientific problems. Remember that." With that cryptic warning, he strode away, leaving Zira to ponder his words as she settled into her new workspace. The rest of the day passed in a blur of introductions, orientations, and information overload. Dr. Chen, a brilliant but distracted human physicist, rattled off a list of tasks and expectations that left Zira's head spinning. The other members of the project team were a mix of humans and aliens, but few seemed interested in engaging with the new Lysarian intern beyond professional necessity. As the workday drew to a close, Zira found herself alone in the lab, poring over schematics for a prototype quantum communicator. She was so engrossed that she didn't notice Jason's return until he spoke. "It's past 8, Zira. Go home." She looked up, startled. "Oh, I'm sorry, I lost track of time. This technology is just so fascinating." Jason's expression softened almost imperceptibly. "Enthusiasm is good, but don't burn yourself out on the first day. There's a lot of work ahead." Zira nodded, gathering her things. As she headed for the door, Jason spoke again. "Zira." She turned back. "Yes, Mr. Reeves. You handled yourself well today. Keep it up." Before Zira could respond, Jason had already turned away, busying himself with a nearby console. She left the lab with a mix of emotions swirling in her mind: pride at the small praise, determination to prove herself, and a lingering unease about the challenges that lay ahead. As Zira boarded the hover tram home, she gazed out at the glittering cityscape of New Denver. Somewhere in this vast metropolis of steel and glass, she would carve out her place, not just as a scientist, but as a bridge between two worlds. It wouldn't be easy, but then again, nothing worthwhile ever was. With renewed resolve, Zira settled in for the ride home, her mind already racing with ideas for tomorrow's work. The rocky start was behind her. Now, the real journey could begin. Unlikely connections. Weeks passed, and Zira found herself settling into a routine at EarthTech Industries. The initial excitement of her internship had given way to a grim determination to prove herself in an increasingly hostile environment. Despite her best efforts, the divide between her and her human colleagues seemed to widen with each passing day. One particularly trying morning, Zira arrived at her workstation to find her carefully calibrated equipment in disarray. She let out a soft chirp of distress, her antennae drooping as she surveyed the damage. "Oops, did someone mess with your little toys?" came a mocking voice. Daniels, the same young man who had confronted her on her first day, leaned against a nearby console with a smirk. "Maybe you should keep a closer eye on your stuff, bug girl." Zira's exoskeleton flushed a deep indigo with frustration, but she bit back a retort. Engaging would only make things worse. Instead, she set about recalibrating her equipment, her nimble appendages working quickly to undo the sabotage. "Is there a problem here?" The sharp voice of Jason Reeves cut through the tension like a knife. Daniel straightened immediately, his smug expression replaced by one of nervous deference. "No, sir, Mr. Reeves. Just checking in on our alien friend here," Daniel said, his tone dripping with false concern. Jason's eyes narrowed. "I'm sure Zira appreciates your attentiveness, Daniels. Now don't you have the Henderson report to finish? I expect it on my desk by noon." As Daniel scurried away, Jason turned to Zira. His stern expression softened almost imperceptibly. "Everything all right here, Zira?" She nodded, her antennae twitching with gratitude. "Yes, Mr. Reeves. Just a minor setback. I'll have everything back on track shortly." Jason studied her for a moment, his piercing blue eyes seeming to see right through her facade of calm. "Good. Remember, Zira, you're here because you earned it. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise." With that, he strode away, leaving Zira to ponder his words. As the days wore on, Zira found herself becoming increasingly aware of Jason's presence. He was always there, a silent sentinel in the background, intervening subtly when the bullying threatened to escalate beyond mere pranks and snide comments. She couldn't understand why he bothered. After all, wasn't he just another human who saw her as an outsider? One evening, as Zira was working late again, she overheard a heated conversation from Jason's office. "This experiment is too risky, Jason." It was Dr. Chen's voice, uncharacteristically agitated. "If we push the quantum entanglement matrix beyond its current parameters, we could create a cascade failure that would ripple across half the solar system." "We don't have a choice, Lion," Jason replied, his voice tight with tension. "The Galactic Council is breathing down our necks. If we don't show significant progress on Project Nexus soon, they'll pull our funding and give it to the Arcturians." Zira's antennae perked up with interest. She knew she shouldn't be eavesdropping, but this was the first she'd heard of any issues with the project. As she leaned in closer, her elbow accidentally knocked over a stack of data pads, sending them clattering to the floor. The office door flew open, revealing a red-faced Dr. Chen and a stone-faced Jason. Zira froze, her exoskeleton flushing the guilty shade of green. "I'm so sorry," she stammered. "I was just working late, and I overheard. I didn't mean to." To her surprise, it was Jason who spoke first. "It's all right, Zira. In fact, you might be able to help us with something. Come in." Bewildered, Zira followed them into the office. Jason pulled up a holographic display of the quantum communicator prototype, its swirling patterns of light dancing in the air between them. "We're facing a potential overload in the entanglement matrix," Jason explained, his voice clipped and professional. "Dr. Chen believes it's too risky to proceed, but we're under immense pressure to deliver results. What's your assessment?" Zira blinked in surprise. They were asking for her opinion. She studied the hologram intently, her highly developed Lycerian senses picking up subtle patterns in the quantum fluctuations that might be invisible to human eyes. "The risk is there," she said slowly, "but I think I see a way to mitigate it." Her appendages moved swiftly, manipulating the hologram. "If we introduce a phase-shifted harmonic at this juncture, it should stabilize the matrix without compromising the signal strength." Jason and Dr. Chen exchanged looks of surprise. "That might actually work," Dr. Chen admitted grudgingly. "Excellent thinking, Zira," Jason said, a hint of pride in his voice. "I want you to take point on implementing this solution. Work with Dr. Chen and keep me updated on your progress." As Zira left the office, her mind was reeling. For the first time since she'd arrived at EarthTech, she felt like she truly belonged, like her unique perspective was valued. And the way Jason had looked at her, it stirred something deep within her, a warmth she couldn't quite explain. The next few days were a whirlwind of activity. Zira threw herself into her work with renewed vigor, her natural abilities complementing Dr. Chen's expertise in ways that surprised them both. Even some of her human colleagues began to look at her differently, grudging respect replacing open hostility. But not everyone was pleased with this turn of events. Daniels and his clique of human supremacists seethed in the background, their resentment growing with each of Zira's successes. It all came to a head one afternoon as Zira was calibrating the newly modified quantum communicator. She was so engrossed in her work that she didn't notice Daniels approaching until it was too late. In one swift motion, he accidentally bumped into her workstation, sending the delicate equipment crashing to the floor. "Oh no," Daniels said with exaggerated concern. "Looks like the bug girl's all thumbs today. Better call pest control." Zira stared in horror at the wreckage of weeks of work. Something inside her snapped. In a burst of motion that surprised even her, she lunged at Daniels, her normally gentle Lycerian features contorted with rage. "Enough," she chittered, her translator unable to keep up with her fury. "I have done nothing to deserve this treatment. I am here to work, to learn, to contribute. Why can't you see past your own prejudice?" The lab fell silent, all eyes on the confrontation. Daniels, caught off guard by her outburst, took a step back. "You don't belong here," he spat. "This is a human company, on a human world. Go back to your own kind." "That's enough." Jason's voice boomed across the lab. He strode towards them, his face a mask of cold fury. "Daniels, my office. Now, the rest of you, back to work." As Daniels slunk away, Jason turned to Zira. To her shock, she saw not anger in his eyes, but concern. "Are you all right?" he asked softly. Zira nodded, her anger fading to be replaced by a deep weariness. "I'm sorry, Mr. Reeves. I shouldn't have lost control like that." Jason shook his head. "You have nothing to apologize for, Zira. I've let this go on for too long, trying to handle it quietly. That ends today." He placed a hand on her shoulder, the gesture sending an unexpected tingle through her exoskeleton. "You're a valuable member of this team. Never forget that." As Jason walked away to deal with Daniels, Zira felt a strange mix of emotions swirling within her. Gratitude, relief, and something else. Something warm and confusing that made her heart race whenever Jason was near. She pushed the feeling aside, focusing instead on the task at hand. There was work to be done, a project to save, and a point to prove. Zira set about repairing the damaged equipment, more determined than ever to show that she belonged here, on this human world that was slowly, unexpectedly, beginning to feel like home. Rising tensions. The aftermath of Zira's confrontation with Daniels sent ripples through Earth Tech Industries. While Jason had dealt swiftly with the immediate situation, the underlying tensions remained, simmering just beneath the surface of daily operations. Zira found herself in an unexpected spotlight. Some of her colleagues, impressed by her stand against the bullying, began to treat her with a newfound respect. Others, however, viewed her outburst as proof that Lizarians were too volatile, too alien to truly integrate into human society. One morning, as Zira entered the lab, she noticed a group of her coworkers huddled around a holographic display, their voices hushed but excited. "Did you hear?" one of them whispered. "Earth Tech's been shortlisted for the Galactic Innovation Award. Rumor has it our quantum communicator project is the reason." Zira's antennae twitched with interest. The Galactic Innovation Award was the most prestigious honor in the scientific community, often leading to lucrative contracts and groundbreaking advancements. As she settled into her workstation, Dr. Chen approached, his usually distracted demeanor replaced by barely contained excitement. "Zira, excellent timing," he said. "We need to run a full diagnostic on the quantum matrix. The review board will be here next week for a demonstration." Zira nodded, her own excitement building. "Of course, Dr. Chen. I'll get right on it." As she immersed herself in the complex calculations, Zira couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. Her contributions had played a significant role in the project's success. For the first time since arriving on Earth, she felt like she truly belonged. However, her moment of contentment was short-lived. Later that day, as she was calibrating a particularly sensitive piece of equipment, she overheard a conversation that made her blood run cold. "This is our chance," a voice whispered urgently. Zira recognized it as belonging to Markov, one of Daniel's close associates. "If we can sabotage the demonstration, we can prove that letting aliens work on sensitive projects is a mistake." "I don't know, man," another voice replied, hesitant. "If we get caught." "We won't," Markov assured him. "It'll look like a simple malfunction. Earth Tech will be embarrassed, sure, but they'll learn their lesson. Humans first, always." Zira's mind raced. Should she report what she'd heard? But to whom? And would they even believe her? As she grappled with her decision, a hand touched her shoulder, making her jump. "Everything all right, Zira?" Jason asked, his piercing blue eyes studying her with concern. For a moment, Zira considered telling him everything. But the memory of past dismissals, of being told she was overreacting or too sensitive, held her back. "Yes, Mr. Reeves," she replied, forcing a smile. "Just focused on the preparations for the demonstration." Jason nodded, but Zira could tell he wasn't entirely convinced. Good. We're all counting on you. This project could change everything. Not just for Earth tech, but for human-alien relations across the galaxy. As he walked away, Zira felt the weight of responsibility settle heavily on her shoulders. She couldn't let Markov and his cronies sabotage this opportunity. But how could she stop them without proof? Over the next few days, Zira found herself working longer hours than ever, pushing herself to the limit. She triple-checked every calculation, every connection, determined to leave no room for accidental malfunctions. Her dedication didn't go unnoticed. One evening, as the lab was emptying out, Jason approached her workstation. "You've been putting in a lot of extra hours," he observed, his tone softer than usual. Zira nodded, her antennae drooping slightly with fatigue. The project is too important to leave anything to chance. Jason was quiet for a moment, then said, "Come with me. I want to show you something." Curious, Zira followed him to his office. To her surprise, Jason activated a privacy field, ensuring their conversation couldn't be overheard. "Zira," he began, his voice serious, "I need to know if there's something you're not telling me. Are you worried about more than just the normal pressures of the demonstration?" Zira hesitated. This was her chance to voice her concerns, to seek help, but doubt gnawed at her. What if Jason didn't believe her? What if voicing her suspicions only made things worse? As if sensing her internal struggle, Jason's expression softened. "I know things haven't been easy for you here, but I want you to understand something. You're not just an intern to me. You're a valued member of this team. And someone I've come to care about." Zira's heart raced at his words, her exoskeleton flushing a deep, iridescent blue. "Mr. Reeves, Jason," he corrected gently. "Please, call me Jason." The moment hung between them, charged with unspoken emotions. Zira found herself lost in Jason's eyes, seeing not just her boss or a human, but someone who truly saw her for who she was. Finally, gathering her courage, Zira spoke. "I overheard Markov and some others talking about sabotaging the demonstration. They want to prove that aliens shouldn't be working on sensitive projects." Jason's expression hardened, a flash of anger crossing his features. "I suspected something like this might happen. Thank you for telling me, Zira. We'll deal with this together." As they began to formulate a plan to protect the project and expose the saboteurs, Zira felt a weight lift from her shoulders. For the first time since arriving on Earth, she felt truly supported, truly part of a team. But even as hope loomed within her, a new complication arose. The way Jason looked at her, the warmth in his voice when he said her name, it stirred feelings in Zira that she had never experienced before. Feelings that both thrilled and terrified her. As a Lysarian, the concept of romantic love was foreign to her. Her species reproduced through a complex symbiosis with their home world's unique flora. The idea of forming a deep, emotional bond with another sentient being, let alone a human, was uncharted territory. Yet here she was, her heart racing every time Jason was near, feeling a connection that transcended species and cultural boundaries. It was exhilarating, confusing, and more than a little frightening. As they worked late into the night, poring over security protocols and fail-safes, Zira found herself stealing glances at Jason. The determined set of his jaw, the intensity in his eyes as he focused on protecting their work, it all only served to deepen her growing feelings. But there was no time to dwell on these confusing emotions. The demonstration was just days away, and the fate of not just their project, but potentially the future of human-alien cooperation, hung in the balance. As dawn broke over New Denver, casting the Earth Tech building in a golden glow, Zira and Jason finalized their plans. They would catch the saboteurs in the act, proving once and for all that prejudice had no place in the pursuit of scientific progress. Zira left Jason's office, exhausted but determined. Whatever challenges lay ahead, whatever feelings were blossoming between them, she knew one thing for certain. She was no longer alone in this strange, human world. And together, they just might change the galaxy. Confrontation and revelation. The day of the demonstration dawned bright and clear, the new Denver skyline glittering in the morning sun. But within the walls of Earth Tech Industries, tension crackled like static electricity. Zira arrived early, her nerves on edge. She and Jason had spent the past few days implementing additional security measures and fail-safes, but the threat of sabotage still loomed large. As she entered the lab, she found Jason already there, his face etched with concern. Zira. He greeted her, his voice low. "We need to talk." He led her to a quiet corner of the lab, activating a small privacy field. "I've been doing some digging," Jason began, his blue eyes intense. "The sabotage attempt goes deeper than we thought. Someone high up in Earth Tech is involved." Zira's antennae quivered with shock. But who? And why? Jason's jaw clenched. "I'm not sure yet. But whoever it is, they're not just against alien involvement in the project. They want it to fail entirely." Before Zira could respond, the lab doors hissed open. Dr. Chen entered, followed by a group of stern-looking individuals in formal attire. The review board had arrived. "Places, everyone," Dr. Chen called out, his usual distraction replaced by nervous energy. "Let's show them what we've got." As the team scrambled to their positions, Zira caught Jason's eye. He gave her a subtle nod. Their plan was in motion. Whatever happened next, they would face it together. The demonstration began smoothly. Dr. Chen led the review board through an overview of the quantum communicator's capabilities, his enthusiasm growing as he delved into the technical details. Zira stood by, ready to assist with the practical demonstration. But as Dr. Chen prepared to activate the device, Zira noticed something off. A tiny fluctuation in the quantum matrix, almost imperceptible. Her highly attuned Blissarian senses picked up on the anomaly just as alarms began to blare. "Containment breach," one of the technicians shouted. "The matrix is destabilizing." Chaos erupted in the lab. The review board members backed away in alarm as scientists rushed to contain the growing instability. In the midst of the pandemonium, Zira saw Markov slip away, a satisfied smirk on his face. Without hesitation, Zira leaped into action. Her appendages flew over the controls, making micro-adjustments faster than any human eye could follow. She could feel the quantum energies surging, threatening to tear apart the very fabric of space-time. "Zira, what are you doing?" Dr. Chen cried out. "We need to shut it down." "No," Zira shouted back, her voice strained. "If we shut it down now, the backlash could level half the city. I can stabilize it." As she worked, Zira became aware of a presence beside her. Jason had joined her at the console, his hands moving in perfect sync with hers. Together, they danced across the controls, human and Lissarian, united in their desperate effort to prevent disaster. For what felt like an eternity, the outcome hung in the balance. The air crackled with energy, the quantum matrix pulsing with chaotic power. But slowly, gradually, the alarms began to quiet. The violent fluctuations smoothed out, returning to their normal patterns. As the last warning light blinked out, a stunned silence fell over the lab. Zira sagged against the console, exhausted but triumphant. She felt Jason's hand on her shoulder, steadying her. "Extraordinary," one of the review board members breathed. "I've never seen anything like it." Dr. Chen stepped forward, his face a mix of awe and confusion. "How did you do that, Zira?" "The calculations required to stabilize a quantum flux of that magnitude. It should have been impossible." Zira straightened, her exoskeleton shimmering with a mix of fatigue and pride. "It's a natural ability of my species," she explained. "We can perceive and manipulate quantum states intuitively. It's how we communicate over vast distances on my homeworld." The revelation sent a ripple of excitement through the room. The review board members huddled together, speaking in hushed but animated tones. But the moment of triumph was short-lived. The lab doors burst open, and a security team rushed in, led by none other than Daniels. "Arrest them," Daniels shouted, pointing at Zira and Jason. "They sabotaged the project." Jason stepped in front of Zira protectively. "That's a lie, and you know it, Daniels. We just saved everyone in this building." As security hesitated, unsure of how to proceed, a new voice cut through the tension. "Stand down, all of you." All heads turned to see a distinguished older woman striding into the lab, her silver hair gleaming under the harsh lights. Zira recognized her immediately from company briefings. It was Helena Rossi, the CEO of EarthTech Industries. "Madam CEO," Daniels sputtered, caught off guard. "I can explain." "Save it, Daniels," Helena snapped. "We have everything on record. Your little sabotage attempt, your conspiracy with Markov and the others. Did you really think you could get away with it?" As Daniels was led away in handcuffs, Helena turned to Zira and Jason. Her stern expression softened into something approaching admiration. "Mr. Reeves, you've outdone yourself this time," she said. "When you came to me with your suspicions, I had my doubts. But you were right. About the sabotage, and about her." She nodded toward Zira. Jason straightened, his voice firm. "Zira is the real hero here, Madam CEO. Without her unique abilities, we'd all be atoms scattered across the solar system by now." Helena studied Zira intently. "Indeed, it seems we've only begun to scratch the surface of what our interspecies collaboration can achieve." She turned to address the entire room. "Ladies and gentlemen, what we've witnessed here today goes beyond the scope of our original project. We're standing on the brink of a new era in quantum communications, one that could revolutionize our understanding of the universe itself." As Helena continued to speak, outlining a vision of a future where human ingenuity and alien insight combined to push the boundaries of science, Zira felt a warmth blooming in her chest. She looked up at Jason, who was watching her with an expression that made her heart race. In that moment, surrounded by the excited chatter of humans and aliens alike, Zira realized something profound. She had come to Earth as an outsider, hoping to find her place in a strange new world. Instead, she had found something far greater, a purpose, a partnership, and perhaps even a love that transcended the barriers of species and culture. As the day's events wound down and the lab slowly emptied, Zira and Jason found themselves alone. The air between them was charged with unspoken emotions and the lingering adrenaline of their shared triumph. "Zira," Jason began, his voice soft, "what you did today, it was incredible. You saved us all." Zira's antennae quivered with a mix of exhaustion and something else, something warm and increasingly familiar. "We did it together, Jason. I couldn't have done it without you." They stood in silence for a moment, the weight of everything that had happened, and everything left unsaid, hanging between them. Finally, Jason spoke again, his words careful but filled with genuine emotion. "I know this isn't easy. We're from different worlds, different species, but today proved that those differences don't have to divide us. They can make us stronger." He paused, seeming to gather his courage. "Zira, I care about you, more than I ever thought possible." Zira's exoskeleton flushed a deep, iridescent blue. Her heart raced as she processed Jason's words, the alien concept of romantic love suddenly feeling very real and very immediate. "Jason, she began, her translator struggling to convey the complexity of her emotions. "On my world, we don't have words for what I'm feeling. But I know that when I'm with you, I feel complete, like I found a home I never knew I was looking for." As they stood there, human and Lissarian, the boundaries between their worlds seemed to blur. In that moment, they weren't representatives of their species or their companies. They were simply two beings who had found something extraordinary in each other. The future was uncertain. There would be challenges ahead, both personal and professional. But as Zira looked into Jason's eyes, she knew that whatever came next, they would face it together. a testament to the incredible potential of human and alien collaboration and the universal power of understanding and love. Triumph of understanding. In the weeks following the dramatic events at Earth Tech Industries, New Denver buzzed with excitement. News of the breakthrough in quantum communications, coupled with the thwarted sabotage attempt, had catapulted the company into the global spotlight. But for Zira and Jason, the aftermath brought a whirlwind of changes, both professional and personal. The Galactic Innovation Award ceremony was held in the Grand Hall of the United Earth Embassy. Beings from across the known universe gathered to celebrate the pinnacle of scientific achievement. As Zira stood on the stage beside Jason and the rest of the team, she felt a profound sense of belonging. "It is with great pleasure," the Galactic Council representative announced, her holographic form shimmering with barely contained excitement, "that we present this year's Galactic Innovation Award to the team from Earth Tech Industries for their groundbreaking work in quantum communications." The hall erupted in applause, a cacophony of human cheers mixing with the varied sounds of approval from dozens of alien species. As Jason accepted the award, his eyes found Zira's in the crowd. The look they shared spoke volumes: pride, joy, and something deeper, something that transcended the boundaries of their respective species. But the award was just the beginning. In the days that followed, Helena Rossi unveiled her vision for the future of Earth Tech Industries. "What we've witnessed," she addressed a packed auditorium of employees and press, "is more than just a technological breakthrough. It's proof of what we can achieve when we embrace diversity, when we recognize that our differences are not obstacles, but opportunities." She paused, her gaze sweeping the room before settling on Zira and Jason. "That's why I'm proud to announce the formation of a new division within EarthTech, the Interspecies Collaboration and Innovation Department. And I can think of no better leaders for this initiative than the two individuals who showed us the true potential of human-alien partnership, Jason Reeves and Zira." The announcement sent shockwaves through the company and beyond. For some, like Dr. Chen and the majority of the R&D team, it was cause for celebration. For others, particularly those who had aligned themselves with Daniel's xenophobic views, it was a bitter pill to swallow. As Zira and Jason set about building their new department, they faced no shortage of challenges. Integrating diverse alien technologies and methodologies into human systems proved complex. Cultural misunderstandings and lingering prejudices sometimes flared up, requiring patience and diplomacy to resolve. But with each obstacle overcome, each small victory achieved, the true potential of their work became clearer. Zira's unique Lizarian abilities, combined with human ingenuity and the varied perspectives of other alien species, led to advancements that would have been impossible for any one race to achieve alone. One crisp autumn evening, as the sun set over the New Denver skyline, Zira found Jason on the roof of the EarthTech building. He stood at the railing, gazing out at the city lights beginning to twinkle in the gathering dusk. "Credit for your thoughts?" Zira asked, moving to stand beside him. Her use of the human idiom brought a smile to Jason's face. "Just thinking about how far we've come," he replied, his voice soft with wonder. "A year ago, I never could have imagined any of this." Zira's antennae quivered gently in the cool breeze. "Nor could I on Lysaria. We have a saying, 'The most vibrant gardens grow from the most diverse seeds.' I never truly understood its meaning until now." Jason turned to face her, his blue eyes filled with warmth. "We're writing a new chapter in the story of the galaxy, Zira, proving that we're stronger together than we ever could be apart." As they stood there, the boundary between human and alien seemed to blur. Zira felt the now familiar flutter in her heart, the complex emotions that had grown between them over the months of working side by side. "Jason," she began, her voice tinged with a mix of nervousness and determination, "there's something I've been wanting to talk to you about. About us." Jason's expression softened, a tender smile playing at the corners of his mouth. "I've been thinking about that too, Zira. A lot, actually." "On my world," Zira continued, her exoskeleton shimmering with iridescent hues of blue and purple. We don't have the concept of romantic love. Our bonds are formed through shared purpose, mutual respect, and deep understanding. But what I feel for you, it's all of that, and something more, something I don't have words for in my language or yours. Jason reached out, gently taking one of Zira's appendages in his hand. The gesture, so simple yet so profound, sent a wave of warmth through her. Maybe we don't need words, Jason said softly. Maybe what we have is beyond language, beyond the barriers of our species. I know that when I'm with you, I feel like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. As they stood there, bathed in the fading light of day, Zira and Jason shared a moment of perfect understanding. They were pioneers in more ways than one, not just in science and interspecies cooperation, but in matters of the heart. Their relationship would not be without its challenges. There would be cultural differences to navigate, biological incompatibilities to work around, and no doubt some raised eyebrows from both humans and aliens. But in that moment, none of that mattered. They had found in each other a partner, a confidant, and a bridge between two worlds. As night fell over New Denver, Zira and Jason made their way back inside, hand in appendage. They had work to do, a department to run, discoveries to make, and a future to shape. But they would do it together, a living embodiment of the incredible things that could happen when beings from different worlds came together in pursuit of understanding and progress. In the labs below, humans and aliens worked side by side, their combined efforts pushing the boundaries of what was possible. The quantum communicator that had started it all was just the beginning. Now, with the full support of Earth Tech and the galactic community, they were exploring new frontiers in science, technology, and cross-species collaboration. Zira paused at the door to their shared office, looking back at Jason with her multifaceted eyes. "Ready to change the universe?" she asked, a hint of playfulness in her tone. Jason grinned, squeezing her appendage gently. "With you by my side. Always." As they stepped into the office together, ready to face whatever challenges the future might bring, Zira felt a sense of profound gratitude. She had come to Earth as an intern, hoping to learn about human science and culture. Instead, she had found a home, a purpose, and a love that transcended the stars. In the grand tapestry of the cosmos, their story was just one thread, but it was a bright one, a testament to the incredible things that could happen when beings from different worlds came together with open minds and open hearts. As Zira and Jason set to work, the future stretched out before them, full of endless possibilities, a future where the boundaries between species faded away, replaced by bonds of understanding, respect, and love.